Night China. Right, this is the SBC podcast, with every single podcast is a business meeting with a specific purpose and a specific outcome. Your purpose drives your actions, and our actions is making money better than a 401k. Bottom line, James, is 49 out of 53 weeks of profit, which is over 80%. Highest level probability is 80% when you get above it. You're looking at something this next level and somebody who understands it's good and bad, right? There's probably some bad mental health. He does understand some manipulation, some nefarious activity going on that he still gets it at a high percentage. But that's what makes it a business. The fact there's consistent money in your pocket. Ask yourself, who is making you money? Now, we get deeper still because as we make the money, we learn about the world around us. All right, James. How's it going? And what are your initial thoughts as we get into it? Uh, kind of crazy things going on where you're gonna have this with a new network, new things going on. You're gonna have this fight night at the White House to commemorate 250 years of the United States. What are your first thoughts, James?
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be something totally unique that we haven't seen before. I've been seeing some pictures of them. They're currently in the middle of construction of the octagon and kind of makeshift arena on the White House lawn. So this is in full swing now, and we've got pretty much it's going to happen within the next month or so. It's in June on the 14th. So we're almost two
Wow.
weeks out since this is the end of May right here today. So we're just about 2.5 weeks out from this. So we're going to go ahead and just glaze over, give our first impressions of the card. And then, of course, as we get closer, we'll watch some film and have some more refined, nuanced takes on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So two things real quick before we get into Fight Night China. That's gonna be kind of crazy. But number one, uh, first thing I thought was they're spending $60 million on it. Good opportunity to see how Dana White's thinking and how he matches the fighters in this situation. How does that how's that going to affect our wagering and getting advanced, getting ahead of the curve here to make money? And number two, what do you think about Taporia, right? Taporia is going to be the headliner. It's interesting that a guy from the Ukraine or from that part of the world. I think he's from Georgia. Going to be at the White House, the main card, and this is where he comes back.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be really interesting because, like you mentioned, Taporia he's Georgian and Spanish. Those are the two
Right.
countries that he claims from Spain. But his opponent here is Gaethje, who's kind of like a through and through, like thoroughbred, like stereotypical American. So I'm sure President Trump, as much as he may be a fan of Taporia, I don't know if he is or not. I'm sure he is going to be rooting for Gaethje. That's the main event. They probably, if there's any plot line or storyline to be there, it would be for Gaethje to come out on top. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't think so. Taporia just shown that he's just a level above, but it would be an amazing, I mean, a one of a kind event with a one of a kind upset. Those two together would just be absolute cinema for an event. So that's something that's just real interesting to consider.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, man. Good stuff. So this is going to be a China card fight night. Uh, are you going to do the main event and the co-main event, or are you going to do a fight before that?
I'll do the whole main card. I think there's about 5 fights on the main card, but I'm just gonna rattle them
Okay.
off real quick.
All right, cool. So we'll go three and two. Two we're gonna keep for ourselves for the subset subscribers. Keeping everything up to date. But if you followed along on our media, the first triple two triple crown races, you've been and made a lot of money. So again, our feeds are currency. It's not it's the highest and best use of your time. It's business. You get paid for coming on our screen versus doom scroll. All right. So what is first three fights we're going to go through, James?
Yeah, so first fight of the main card, which since they're in China, by the way, is going to start at 4 a.m. Pacific time. So real early for us. And we're going to be looking at Alex Perez versus Sumudaerji. And Sumudaerji is Chinese, so this will be a home field advantage for him. He is a slight underdog here. And looking at strength of schedules, they're pretty similar. Alex Perez has been finished a couple more times than I would have liked him to. But in his most recent win, he does have a knockout win over Charles Johnson, who did beat Sumudaerji by decision. And that's a pretty good victory. We like Charles Johnson a lot. We rate him good. I do feel like he was winning that fight and then ended up getting caught by Perez. So just with the fact that it is also going to be in China, I'm going to lean slightly towards the underdog of Sumudaerji. And I don't have all the odds for these fights, but I'll text them to you afterwards so we can just add them to the Substack.
No, totally, totally. I can look it up right here. And yeah, we'll get all that information in the Substack. But he likes the underdog. And I love the logic of being in China, uh, having that home cooking advantage that you have here in the cities in the United States. What's the next fight we're gonna look at, James?
Yeah. Up next, we're going to look at Jake Matthew versus Carlson Harris. And this one, again, pretty similar stat wise. Carlson Harris is good. The most recent fight that I remember watching from him was him against Santiago Ponzinibbio, which he did win by knockout. But it was kind of an ugly fight. And like Ponzinibbio is pretty old at that point and kind of washed. So it didn't really build much confidence for me at all. So I am definitely leaning more towards Jake Matthews here. He himself did get fraud checked by Neil Magny through submission, but Neil Magny is a crafty Unk vet who just kind of does that. I mean, he did the same thing to Mike Mallet, and Mike Mallet's been going, he's been on a pretty good streak since then. So I think we are going to go ahead and stick with Jake Matthews over Carlson Harris here.
And he's a little bit rich for us at minus 400, but uh, we might look for either decision or
I'll do some odds
knockout.
hunting and see if we can, yeah, see what those odds are
So
at, and I'll
they'll probably be
text
at
you.
like minus 175, and then you'll be in good shape. All right, pretty cool. What's the next fight we're gonna look at, James?
Yeah, up next, we're going to look at Kai Asakura versus Cameron Smotherman. I just need to check one thing here just to make sure I'm thinking of the correct fighter. But this will be interesting. This should be Smotherman's debut. He was supposed to debut earlier in the year, but he was the one who had a weight cut so bad that he actually passed out right after weighing in. And yeah, looking back, just confirmed Kai Asakura. I believe he's the favorite here, but we're going to pick against him. He's just had
Nice.
absolute horrible performances ever since he's been to the UFC. This will be his third fight in the UFC. He has not won yet. He's currently 0-2, both by submission that their opponents got fairly easily. I mean, Pantoja destroyed him. Okay, they were both second round submissions. And yeah, I think Smotherman, even if he's not going to be like jujitsu based or wrestling based, he knows that if he's struggling on the feet, that's going to be an option for him. Like he's going to be able to take down Asakura and see if he can work there. I mean, it's worked every fight that he's been in the UFC so far, and he's lost both of them. 100% loss rate, 100% submission loss rate at that. And yeah, so I think we're going to go ahead and go with Smotherman here.
Love it. Smotherman at plus 257. You're putting $100 in each fight. We use business and financial concepts in order to get to the success James has. So that's going to be plus 257. So you only have to hit like one of these and you're making profit consistently. That's what we want to do. What's the next fight we're looking at, James?
Up next, we've got Sergey Pavlovich versus Talison Teixeira. And this one's real interesting because Talison Teixeira has a crazy like build and range. Um, and Sergey Pavlovich used to be like the boogeyman, dark horse of that division. But ever since his loss to Volkov, he seemed to be slipping a little bit and just doesn't have the same aggressive power that he used to. That being said, I do think Teixeira is a little too high up in the rankings. Like he doesn't really have any impressive wins over anyone. He is the guy that we picked against in the Derek Lewis fight, where we got
Oh,
Derek Lewis at
yes.
like a
Got
plus
it.
400 underdog.
Nice.
Since that fight, he did beat Tuivasa by decision. Just didn't look that great. So I think we can go with Sergey Pavlovich here. And this could be potentially be his bounce back fight. I think if he wins this one, especially if he wins this one by knockout, he'll get
Right.
all the confidence that he lost back and will become a real problem for the division again.
Right. So what you want to bet is going to be knockout, which will be like minus 175. So they're thinking that as well. And you're in China. Who knows how the air quality is? Who knows what's going on? So a knockout in a situation like this is very possible. And what's the next fight we're looking at, James?
Yep. So next one brings us to the co-main. So I'll set the stage for this one. Save the official pick for the Substack. And for this one, we're going to look at Zhang Mingyang versus Alonzo Monifield. And of course, if you couldn't guess, Zhang Mingyang is Chinese, so he will have the home court advantage here. And he was, when he first made an appearance on the scene, he was a monster. He was dropping guys like flies left and right. And he was really positioning himself to almost be in title shot contention until he came up against Johnny Walker, who everyone thought was going to get destroyed, knocked out by him, glass chin Johnny. He was like a plus eight or 900 underdog and was able to get the upset over Zhang Mingyang. So Zhang Mingyang's stocks have dropped dramatically, which is lucky for us if we're wanting better odds. And then across the octagon from him, we have Alonzo Menifield, who honestly has a very similar looking record at 17 wins, 6 losses, 1 no contest. But he is on a bit more of a losing streak. Actually, they're both on the same losing streak. They're both on a 1 knockout loss streak. But I do think that Zhang Mingyang's strength of schedule may be a bit better, even though the real test here is going to be the experience level. Because Alonzo Menifield has had more fights in the UFC. He's been in the octagon longer. He's had more time in there. So this will be, I don't really want to call Manyfield a vet or an unk yet, but he's approaching that status very quickly, whereas Zhang Mingyang is more on the loose cannon kind of up and coming guy. So this may be a fight of like explosiveness versus discipline, or these two guys, they're big guys. I think they're light heavyweights. So we could just see them start slugging it out, which is what we're keeping our fingers crossed for.
You get us that excitement. That's what Dana White wants. He doesn't really care about the longevity or the star potential of his employees who are getting shafted. I know a lot of them are getting pissed off, but that's another topic. Uh, what he wants are exciting fights like that, and that's why those guys are there. What's the next fight we're gonna look at, James?
Yeah, up next, we're going to look at the main event. We've got Song Yudong versus Divison Figueiredo. And again, Song Yudong is going to have the home court advantage here in China. Um, this one on paper should be very exciting because we have a rising up and comer, Song Yudong, who's actually very good, versus another very good fighter who may just be a bit past their prime. Figueiredo was the bantamweight champion for a while, or excuse me, the flyweight champion for a while at 125. This would be at 135. I think this is his third fight now at that weight class. Um, he doesn't seem to be in his prime anymore, but he still had some good performances. I mean, he won his last fight very convincingly against Montel Jackson. Excuse me, he lost to Umar Nurmagomedov, however you say it. Before
Right.
that, who doesn't lose to that? The only person who's beaten him in the UFC so far was Marab. Had the very decisive, easy win over Montel Jackson, who's been a huge problem for other fighters in that division. And then before that, his only 2 losses was kind of a freak knee injury accident against Corey Sandhagen, top level guy, and Peter Yan, current champion. So Figueiredo's strength of schedule is very basically immaculate, very deep, very strong, high caliber guys. He's not going to get scared. He's not going to get nervous of the pressure, and he's not going to get worried by like scared by the home crowd just because he's fought for the belt already. He's had bright lights in his face. Whereas we look at Song Yudong, who most recent fight was a decision loss to Sean O'Malley. But before that, he beat Henry Cejudo by decision and had a competitive fight with Peter Yan, who is, again, current champion. So he has a very good strength of schedule. His isn't quite as deep or as kind of like thick with good top level guys as Figueiredo's is, but he is definitely the younger, fresher fighter here. So this one for sure will be crafty vet versus someone who's trying to make a name. Because if Song Yudong wins here, he's in talks for at least title elimination bouts, if not getting in line for the title shot next. So this one's going to be young guy versus crafty vet.
Again, that's a theme. That's very interesting to look at. I think when you have long travel, I know looking at tennis, the same thing. Uh, Today you had Djokovic was 39 versus a teenager who beat him late in the heat because the younger guy. So with a long flight, who knows what's going on in China? The younger guy with more stamina, supposedly, whoever has more stamina, I think has a huge advantage. Does that make sense, James?
100% spot on.
All right. So, what are your final thoughts as we get into it? So, actually, it's going to be exciting fights tomorrow night. If you can't see it live, just record it and then watch it later, right?
Yep.
It's going to be very interesting. And meanwhile, you can take each one of James's bet individually, and when you wake up and you're watching these fights, you have profit. You got money in your pocket. What are your final thoughts, James?
Definitely. I will say for final thoughts, this is one of the really good things about UFC moving over to Paramount that I do like. Almost immediately after the fights end, they're also like placed on the platform. So, for
Right.
example, tonight, I may not watch the prelims and early prelims just because they're not as stacked as they were last time it was overnight. So if I do have to miss those, then I can just watch them right back tomorrow. And yeah, I'm gonna try to stay up though. I'm gonna root for Figgy and see what happens. It was an amazing experience last time, staying up all night and then watching Carlos Prates dominate JDM. That was just
Nice.
phenomenal experience seeing it live while the sun was rising. So we'll see what happens tonight.
All right, man. Good stuff. And you take each one of James's bet individually. You equal weight them. Uh, we're going to start next week making sure we have a written format that people can read into the insights. And we're going to start every Tuesday or at least Wednesday or Tuesday, Wednesday with an in-depth part of the financial analysis that you see the end point with James. The first one's going to be, do you know what's the difference between a sports book and the predictive markets, right? It's a lot of insight that makes us a lot of money, and then when we share information, we move forward so we can stay smarter than AI for at least a year, right? So again, you take each one of James's bets individually. If your purpose is to be independently wealthy, to be able to pay gas, right, to get ahead of inflation, then you bet each one individually the same amounts, and your money will be saved. Thank us for the SBC Podcast Network.